Hi and welcome to the Vet Story Podcast, home to the most outrageous stories told in VetMed. It's raw, it's unfiltered, unscripted, unedited, just raw, off-the-cuff stories. I'm your host, Bruce Generelli, and if you're in the VetMed space in any capacity, and you have a story like this, I want to hear it. So get ready to have a laugh, eyes on the road if you're driving, close the doors, and enjoy the show. And we are back with another episode of the Vet Story Podcast. Today I am joined by Bruce Truman. As you already know, I don't do a lot of introductions because I let them do it. So Bruce, tell me about yourself. Tell the listeners who you are, what you do.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be on the podcast. My name is Bruce Truman. I'm the founder of BLT Technology and Innovation Group. I've had the business for about 13 or 14 years, and our focus is on emerging pet technology, emerging pet innovation. And I have a team of consultants, and we help startups with everything from, is your idea valid in the market, to how do we go to market, how do you get funding, and ultimately, how do we scale up an organization so they can hire a team and they're revenue positive? So I've been doing that for about 13 or 14 years and just love it. It's a lot of fun to meet entrepreneurs and new founders that have vision and passion, and we just need to point them in the right direction.
That's awesome. That's wicked. Now, if how would someone has an idea, they would just like give you a call and go, "Hey, I have an idea." Is there a way that people can contact you and say, "This is my idea," and what is there a sort of process? Walk me through that.
There is. I mean, people can reach out to me through a number of avenues, whether it be the website, www.bltconsulting.com, or through, any more, through LinkedIn chat, through whatever mode of communication. But, we get the word out there via social media a lot. And I consider, from a business perspective, LinkedIn just invaluable to lead gen and awareness in the industry. And, I try to do and it's tough, right? But I try to do as much writing as I can and publish that. I try to get out on the conference scene and travel to as many events as possible. And certainly over the past few years have really enjoyed moderating panels where we bring together a group of experts. And the idea is, how do we get that knowledge out of those experts and engage an audience? So been having a really good time doing that. Recently was involved with the group PSI and helped them with their PSI Business Symposium in Chicago. And I got to tell you, that was so much fun. Bringing in this talented group of experts and getting them on stage was really rewarding. So it was a good time.
That's awesome. So are you allowed to name drop people that you worked with? Are we allowed to do that?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, for the PSI Symposium, I'm going to forget all of them, but I would start out with an incredible MC for the event, which was Walter Brown. And Walter Brown just engaged the audience and had everybody laughing, which is what he does too, right? A comedian. So I thought Walter did a great job, was really proud of him. Dr. Quan Stewart, he was our keynote speaker there at the event, did a book signing. Everyone loved to hear his story and the awards and recognition he's received. We had a pharmacy panel on compounding. We had Denise Tumlin, who made being a CPA and talking about KPIs actually engaging and fun, and just a number of leaders that were there. Laura Vickers is the president of PSI, and Laura did a great job too, getting up on stage. And, that's about bringing their members together and creating a memorable event that they go home with a lot of CE too. Dr. Patty Cooney did a session on reimagining euthanasia, and that was the first time I'd ever met her, and I hope to see a lot more of her because, once again, she made talking about euthanasia fun and really helped the doctors understand how to address that moment in a pet's journey and a family's journey.
Okay. Um, we met each other at the Vet Partners organization, right?
We did. We met. I think the first time we met was at the mid-year meeting in Kansas City this year.
Yeah, that's right. Now, how long have you been a Vet Partners member for? I mean, for me, this is my going on a second year. For yourself?
Probably at least 17 years. So it was, and I may have my math wrong. I
Jeez.
think it was back in 2003 or 2004. So maybe it's only 10 years, but it was around that time when we started a company called VetStreet. And VetStreet was one of the first software as a service platforms that, frankly, all it really did was, at its core, is automate the sending of a postcard to the client, then email, then text message, then e-com, right? And then marketing campaigns. So it expanded out. But at the
Yeah.
time, it was one of the first to do that. And I quickly identified that if you think about the influencer triangle and who are the influencers at the top of the triangle, Vet Partners members are the industry leaders. They write, they publish, they lecture. They're the CPAs, the architects, the attorneys, the valuation folks. So when I headed up marketing in that startup, and that was just spot on. We need to make sure that Vet Partners members know about this new service, how it works, and how it can save practices hundreds of hours a year, because they used to have somebody in the back of the clinic, and this was in the dot matrix printer days, right? Sitting in the back of the clinic, printing out reminder cards, culling them because their database was wonky sometimes, putting stamps on it, and then going to the post office. And literally now it was all automated based off of the client and the patient record and
Okay.
the due date. So it was a cool journey. And boy, I probably have a lot of war
Yeah.
stories to tell about that journey that we could talk about.
Do you mind doing a shameless plug for the Vet Partners? I mean, as an organization that we both love, but
Yeah, yes, I'd be happy to. And I've been a member for a number of years, as I just mentioned, was on the board, former president of Vet Partners. And I really credit that opportunity that was created by my peers in Vet Partners to be president. I credit that a lot with my ability to get more comfortable with public speaking. There was a time when I was really uncomfortable with it and thought it was nerve-wracking and challenging. And they created a venue where you had your peers in the room, so you were nervous at the same time as you knew you were in a safe space. So I think that really made a difference. That organization's been around for a very long time. Care Credit is a founding partner. There's a number of other sponsors now that support the organization. And I'm on the sponsorship committee, so helping to raise additional funds. And the idea has always been with Vet Partners. We get together twice a year. There's just under 300 members. We get together twice a year, typically before VMX or Viticus. And then in the middle of the year, it depends on where conferences are, but typically Kansas City or wherever AVMA is, we'll try to get together 2 times a year for meetings. But Vet Partners is a great organization if you're a consultant in the space and you're starting out. If you want to start consulting to veterinary practices, it's a great group to join as a member, or just dip your toe in the water and attend a meeting. And then what I also say to potential sponsors are, well, we always want more sponsors, right? We really do. But the best way to learn about the organization is to come to a meeting, meet the members, attend the networking events, get to know them. These people are now the Vet Partners members. They're lifelong friends that I've had now. Doing holidays at friends' homes and such. So it's really become a family. And I think from a consultant perspective, new consultant perspective, it's an organization you should definitely check out. And from a sponsor perspective, if you have something new that's coming into the veterinary industry and you want up to 300 consultants aware of what you're doing when they're in a veterinary practice and they get asked a question about product X or service Y, now these consultants know. And I can remember back in the VetStreet days, I really made a point as a sponsor then, before I became a member and then ultimately on the board and president. I remember stressing to members that I really wanted you to call my cell phone if you had questions or email me. And
Mm.
I would get calls from consultants when they were in practices, and it wouldn't matter if I was in a C-suite meeting with the team. If somebody called, I would step out of the meeting and answer that call because I knew they were with a doctor, right? They were with a practice manager, and that individual had questions, and many times not necessarily about whatever your product or service is. Sometimes they had industry questions. They just wanted to know what's going on with X or Y, and being available for those consultants was invaluable. So I have a lot of thanks to Vet Partners, and love what they're doing in the industry space. There's a meeting coming up before Viticus, which is looking like a really good meeting. The last one was really done well in terms of programming and content. So it's something I would encourage everybody that's listening to check out.
Mm.
And it's easy to join the organization. I think you have to send a letter of reference, but don't get too worried about that, right? If you're in the industry,
Yeah,
you
no,
got a
that's right.
colleague that will give you a reference letter, you're good to go.
Yeah. But it's not just for consultants or sponsors though either, right? You can be for clients, potential clients, or someone from a organization looking for speakers as well as looking for consultants.
That's a really important point, and thanks for bringing it up. Yes, on the website, there's a directory where you can find consultants, whether they want to do speaking engagements for you or you need a consultant to come into your veterinary practice. The Vet Partners resource directory there is a great source for people. And over the years,
Yeah.
I've gotten calls, from that group, and also referrals from members, right? So we all do something really specific. And I'm thankful that members have referred business to me, and I've referred business to them too over the years.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I know that we spoke about Vet Partners, and it wasn't meant to be an actual plug for them, but I know I love Vet Partners. I know you do too. So I just wanted to ensure that everyone knew about them as well. It's a great organization. But we are here because you have a story. Is that right, Bruce?
I have many stories from early in my career in the late 90s, making sales calls on veterinary. In fact, I just thought of another story. So I think I have two good stories from early in my career. And as we talk, I know I'm going to have a bunch of other stories. Some of the people I worked with early in my career.
Tell me your go-to party story. And look, if you've got more than one, we'll break it into different episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of my go-to party, I don't know if it's a go-to party story, but it's just such a shocking tale. You're brand new into the industry. The way it worked when I got out of grad school, I did inside sales, and then they ship you off to a territory, right? So I was in Central Florida, and my new boss at the time was like, find a place to live, get settled, and just start making sales calls. And I won't ride with you for a few weeks, get relaxed and everything. You're so nervous. And I remember my first sales call, I got lucky. The doctor gave me all the tips. Bruce, it's Central Florida. Don't wear the blue sports
Just a tip?
jacket. Wait, what's that? No, he
Just a
gave me
tip?
all these tips. He was like, when I came in there, he was like, I told him I was brand new, and he's like, okay, no sports jacket, golf shirt, no press shirt, khakis are fine. And then he looked through my detail bag, but that's not my story. My story is making a sales call, and names will remain, no names associate with this, but you're trained right on, and this was a company that had a lot of surgical products. So you're trained on sterile technique and everything. And I go in on this sales call, and the doctor's there doing surgery on a cat with no gloves, and gut suture back then, and literally a cigar hanging out of his mouth with a big ash on it, just smoking up, and he's just going away, doing his work. And I was like, wow, okay, that I've never seen before. So that was a very, very long time ago, but that's always, I'm not sure if it's a party story, but it certainly is a memorable thing to me. And I worked with a lot of people that are now retired. So they were senior in their careers in sales. I just learned so much from them. So there's always stories about traveling and stuff. I used to host dinner parties, big dinner events. And it seemed like notoriously there was always somebody that was invited that always had too much to drink. And sometimes those can become pretty embarrassing situations. So I had one of those too, where somebody just had a little bit too much, back in the day. And you're trying to speak in front of an audience and somebody is, not behaving, right? But good memories.
Oh, give me more. Give me more. Keep going.
Uh, One of my first managers was, as he would describe himself, he like a New York guy, suit, tie, nice shoes. And as a joke, they sent him out on a farm call and he got out of his car and, he had to go through manure and
Mud.
everything. And the veterinarian was playing a joke on him. Like, I don't know what they did, but just playing a joke on him. And he ended up getting covered in manure and, just cool stories like that type of stuff. There's always something. And, I was with the team that created Program, which was the drug that really changed the channel shift from over-the-counter flea and tick to veterinary prescribed flea and tick. And I just remember back in the Program days, so many stories, and just how it shifted the market. So I think that's another good memory for me. Central Florida was a great place to start a career because they had a lot of bugs. And if you are in a company that's doing flea, tick, and heartworm, launched Frontline down in that sales territory, and we had at launch, Frontline had a 3-month label on it, and it seemed like a too good to be true. So apply these drops to the back of your dog or cat. You will not have fleas for 3 months. And that was painful because maybe in the north, you could control fleas for 3 months with that product. And it's a great product, right? I think it's still like one of the first $1 billion products in the space. But the reality was in Florida, it didn't work. And we had a lot of disappointed people way back. This was in the either late 90s or early 2000s. It was really tough because I had dermatologists writing with me and we couldn't figure it out. Well, the reality of the label allowed for monthly application and heavier infestations. And that was what was going on in Florida. Everything was a heavy infestation. So you just treat it once a month and you were fine. But that was nerve-wracking. I had this dermatologist in the car with me and I was so nervous. We missed the same exit 3 times in a row. And I had to apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just, one of those things that happens. I think another interesting story is, and some of the colleagues that might listen to this might remember, junior product manager, and we are switching on Frontline. It had to have what's called CRP, child-proof packaging. And so that made it very difficult. Instead of just peeling off the foil, breaking it and applying it, you had to get scissors out and cut it or pull and pry. And I was the guy that had to roll out CRP to 150 salespeople that did not want CRP. And of course, I think my boss and my colleagues made it their mission the night before to make sure I had way too much to drink. So not only is it a stressful situation, it was somewhere in Virginia, like in Arlington, Virginia, at a hotel. Not only was it stressful, but now you're hungover and you're having those sweats and you're trying to get up in front of the audience and talk. And that journey went like many journeys went, from never heard about this, emotional anger reaction, how can they sell this product, to by the end of that 3 or 4 hour session, this isn't so bad. Everybody's got a pair of scissors and, it solved itself, but we made a huge deal of it. And that was back in the day where the number one competitor in the topical flea and tick was Advantage. And what did the Advantage, the Bear team do? Frontline's label had gloves as a restriction. To get it to market, there was a study that they didn't have time to do to prove that the insecticide didn't get on your skin. And you had to do this study with to determine how much insecticide got on a person's skin from topical application. Well, the label said you have to wear gloves. So what did Bayer do? And I remember this so vividly, because I got a box of this in my office from a salesperson. They sent everybody, every veterinary clinic, a box of gloves and said, make sure you wear these when you apply Frontline. That was another huge thing we had to deal with. I mean, it was highly competitive back in the day. We had salespeople that would show clinics how safe Frontline was. They'd literally squirt it in their mouth. That was really, I was really discouraged, but we do have situations like that.
I mean, it's a brilliant marketing ploy from Bear. Actually, I quite like that.
Yeah, and the guy that was his idea, he ended up becoming my boss ultimately at one of the startups. So we would compare notes because I was on one side of the fence and, they were on the other side of the fence. And I spent the early part of my career either in sales, marketing, or product development of topical parasiticides, to the point where last year a firm found me, a patent lawyer found me online, and I served as an expert witness in a case over a topical flea and tick product, which I thought was pretty cool that my early work came back and served me well, because we had done a lot of development on the craziest things. Applicator tips. How do you make the applicator tip not sharp? How do you make it get down to the skin? All these things. So I guess that work paid off and did well. And this was back in the day of FedEx too. FedEx for everything. So you couldn't PDF large files then. We just had started getting laptops in to carry as sales.
Right.
So everything was FedEx, like literally.
You don't look that old though, Bruce.
What's that?
You don't look that old.
I'm a lot. Well, I guess I might be older than what I look, but no, I've been around for a while. So first laptops were in the field. My first cell phone was a brick phone. Remember those old Motorola? You probably don't remember. Motorola had this brick phone that literally was about this size. If you threw it at somebody, it could hurt them, right? But
we had the Nokia brick.
I think this was a Motorola, but yeah, Nokia, but Motorola brick was the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Man, Bruce, so if someone wants to get in contact with you, where's the best place to do that?
Well,
I know you said maybe the website or LinkedIn, but
website, LinkedIn, or my email address is btruman@bltconsulting.com. And I love talking to entrepreneurs, inventors, people with ideas, and pointing them in the right direction. There's a lot of great opportunities for startups right now in this space to either get funding, get in an incubator, or attend some key events where they can really get exposed to the strategics in the market, investors, and other entrepreneurs like themselves. I'm going to one in a couple of weeks in Los Angeles called Pet Connect, and it's about 400 people attending. There's a pitch competition and then a lot of one-on-one networking sessions that are set up. I'm a big fan of the Conseco events, so Pet Care, Pet Connect, and then they do an animal health, AHNTI, Animal Health, Nutrition, Technology, and Innovation Summit in London in February, and in Boston, I think middle of the year, maybe June, they do it in Boston. And we either find clients there or send our clients there to those events, because that's the epicenter for what they're doing. Vet Forum event is really good in September. I think it's in Salt Lake City next September in 25. And that's a meeting that I've done the MC. I've been the MC for that event for a few years. And that's group practice leadership with unique suppliers with one-on-one meetings. So instead of meeting with 30 suppliers over 6 months, and some of them have to travel to you, now you have one event, 2 days, and you meet with all your suppliers while you're at that event. You can get a lot ironed out. So I think those are great industry events.
So like speed dating.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly like speed
Yep.
dating. You get a table assigned to you, you got 15 minutes, and when the gong sounds, you're on to the next one.
Okay. Awesome. So I'll get your details. We'll put them in the show notes anyway, mate. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. I mean, I know that we're on the same committee together as Vet Partners, and I look forward to seeing you in Vegas.
I look forward to seeing you in Vegas too. It's going to be fun. Looks like a good one.
So that brings me to a close on today's podcast with Bruce. I'll put a link in the show notes for everybody to connect with him. And for that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us today. That's all we have time for. If you're tired of being a business operator and want to be a business owner, give me a call. If you have heard of Traction, EOS, Lean, 4DX, all these other systems out there, they're all great systems, but none of them are vet specific. I have taken the best of every system, rebuilt them using our industry KPI standards and your practice core metrics, because every practice is different. I will bring your vision to life, get your team bought in and aligned to your long-term goals. I will systemize your practice so you can have more time doing what you love to do. Stop having people rely on you. Let's take the pain away from being a business operator and move into the business owner category. If this interests you and excites you, go to my website, www.ivmsolutions.org. Until next time, take care.